I want to look at it from the other perspective. I want to ask, when can we stop asking for more security? Because clearly there must be enough. We cannot keep asking for more and more and more. There must be a trade-off with other desirable properties. For instance, we want products to be cheap, we want them to be feature-rich, we want our organizations to be productive and happy, and sometimes security gets in the way of all of this. So if we keep asking for more and more security, we may alienate both customers and people working inside companies. And what I want to illustrate is that that's already happening, that already some security barriers are lethal within organizations and in fact may lead to companies not having many customers and much customer data to protect anymore in the future. And if there's always a competitor who has a more desirable but less secure product, then those less secure products win out in the market and we end up with less security after all because we try to aim too high. I'll give you a simple example. Car security has been in the news for a year and a half now, based on some hackers doing excellent work getting into a Jeep car and being able to remotely steer this Jeep car into the ditch. And the way the story was written, they could have killed the person. Nobody did, fortunately, but it could have happened. Based on that, a lot of car manufacturers taking a step back, saying, let's review our technology before introducing anything new into the market. This includes safety equipment. Things like autonomous driving come with a safety aspect. Autonomous cars eventually could be much safer than human drivers. They'll never drive drunk, they'll learn from each other very quickly. This is the future of safe driving, and this is being delayed now. But if you delay safety equipment, actual people die unnecessarily. So because we're worried about security and we're worried about maybe hackers eventually killing people through hacking their cars, now actual people have to die because of this paranoia. And this is a trade-off where everybody, I think, would agree that it may make sense to take a few extra risks just to get stuff out there that may not be hacking proof, but that has other desirable property, in this case, saving people's lives. We definitely still have a trend towards detection, away from prevention, just given that most people over the years realize not every mistake can be prevented proactively. We'll have to find mistakes by people actually exploiting them, maybe through bug bounties on a friendly level, but maybe through actual criminal hacking. Either way, we'll learn about things if we look close enough, and that's detection. That trend is still happening, and most organizations are realizing that it takes many years to ramp up detection, and that it especially takes many people to do that there isn't a tool you could buy. Another trend that I think will continue forever is automation, because automation happens on both sides. It happens on the attack and the defending side. So if you keep automating every year, you're left pretty much with exactly the same manual work as the year before, because the other side has automated as well. Only once you stop automating, you'll be overwhelmed by the other side. So I wouldn't call this a trend necessarily anymore. It is just a part of doing normal security that you automate a large part of what you did last year every single year. I'm worried, of course, about the consequences of a cyber war, but I've been worried for the last 10 years. So I think it's about time to stop being worried, because it doesn't help me. It did not help me the last 10 years that this soured my mood. And hopefully it's understood between different players in the cyber war that there's mutually assured destruction. Just like with nuclear weapons. If anybody starts a cyber war, they too will suffer from it. And in an increasingly connected world, even just making somebody else suffer means your own suffering. But since everybody is connected to the internet, you will also suffer in a very direct way. So this gives me a little bit peace of mind that cyber war could have broken out in the last 10 years. It never did, so it may never in the future. But even if it did, I personally can't do much about it, so I'd rather not worry about it. The current dynamic in the Indian market is simply amazing. The speed at which large parts of the population all of a sudden can digitize, this is unmatched anywhere else in the world. So you can take somebody whose technology experience does not extend beyond an old Nokia phone, and a few minutes later, after walking into a Vodafone, Airtel or Geo store, they can be a global internet citizen with their own smartphone, with a SIM card registered through Aadhaar, through strong biometrics. They can pay with any number of payment services through NFC. Demonetization, of course, help boosting those services. So all of this is possible within minutes once people enter the digital world. And other countries have taken decades, and some of them are still not there. For instance, cashless payment, this takes off in India much stronger than in many other countries. Now, as far as risk is concerned, of course, as you roll out technologies at a faster speed, fewer risks are actually understood and prevented. And to take Aadhaar as an example, for instance, I don't know if this government database is very secure. I have no evidence to the contrary, but I think it is a pretty big gamble to create a database of all citizens of all 10 fingers in a database that may be insecure. Why not start with 2 or 4 fingers? Why take all 10 at the risk that all 10 fingers of everybody will get stolen? What's your fallback option then? Toes? Right? So a few decisions in this breathtaking digitization speed I find questionable, but by and large I think the quality of life improvement that these digitizations bring, they're well worth most of the risks taken. India has long been a leader in information technology in the world, but not necessarily in security. And security, I think, is a quality indicator of both software and hardware, and India has not been a leader of quality IT products necessarily. India is known for quantity, so securing or otherwise improving the quality of a product does not necessarily come natural to the very large, very fast Indian IT industry. Right? This will have to be introduced just based on market demand, but a surprisingly small number of Indian IT professionals are in fact security professionals. I think India is one of the most dynamic and adaptable markets in the world, and I think the IT sector will adapt to anything that pays. Right? And since security is such a hot topic right now, it will take just a couple of years until there is very strong security supply. Right? The demand is clearly there, and currently people are flown in from all over the world to meet this supply, myself included. I work in India a lot. But this supply is increasingly available also in India, especially, of course, coming from Western technology companies, Microsoft, Google, Apple, Facebook, who have offices here. But those then form a nucleus for a much larger community of security professionals.